They thought she was just a quiet child sitting on a porch. They had no idea her father was the one person they should never have tested. This story promises a shocking twist that will change everything you think about power, rules, and consequences. The afternoon sun rested gently over the neighborhood as little Emily sat wrapped in a light blanket on the front porch. Her breathing was calm but careful, each movement measured the way her doctors had taught her. Inside the house, her mother kept a close eye through the window, never letting her out of sight. Everything was peaceful until the car arrived. A sleek vehicle stopped at the curb, and two HOA representatives stepped out, carrying folders and clipboards like they were delivering routine business. But there was nothing routine about what followed. They walked straight toward the house. Emily looked up, confused but polite, offering a small smile that wasn't returned. One of them spoke firmly, her voice cutting through the calm. "This area is not approved for extended use," she said, glancing at her clipboard. "You'll need to move inside immediately." Emily didn't fully understand, but she shook her head gently. "I can't," she whispered. The woman frowned, clearly irritated. From inside, her mother's expression changed instantly, because this wasn't just about rules anymore. Something about to happen wasn't going to end the way they expected. Emily's soft refusal lingered in the air, fragile yet firm. The HOA representative exchanged a quick glance with her colleague, clearly not expecting resistance from a child. "This isn't optional," the woman said, her tone tightening slightly. "You're violating community rules." Inside, Emily's mother stepped out quickly, placing herself beside her daughter. Her voice was calm, but protective. "She needs to sit here," she explained. "It's part of her recovery." The explanation didn't seem to matter. The second representative pointed toward the notice in her folder. "We've had complaints," she said. "This porch setup isn't permitted for extended use." Emily's small hands tightened around her blanket. The situation was shifting, slowly but surely, into something heavier. Her mother tried again. "Please," she said, "just give us some time." But the first woman shook her head. "We've already been more than patient." That word "patient" felt misplaced, because the only real patient standing there was Emily, and somewhere inside the house, her father had just heard everything. The front door opened slowly, not rushed. Not loud, just enough to change the entire atmosphere. Daniel Carter stepped outside, his presence quiet but steady. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't rush forward. He simply stood beside his family, taking in the scene with careful attention. "What seems to be the issue?" he asked. The representatives turned toward him, relieved to finally be addressing an adult who, in their minds, could resolve things quickly. "Your property is not in compliance," the first woman said. "We've explained the situation." Daniel nodded once, his expression unreadable. "I see." He looked down at Emily, then back at them. "And you're asking her to leave the porch?" "Yes," she replied firmly. A brief silence followed, but it wasn't empty, it was measured. Because Daniel wasn't reacting emotionally, he was observing, understanding, and calculating. "Did either of you review the medical exemption request filed last week?" he asked calmly. The question caught them off guard. Neither answered immediately, and in that hesitation, something important began to shift. The silence stretched just long enough to reveal uncertainty. The second representative flipped through her folder quickly, her earlier confidence fading. We don't have that here," she admitted. Daniel gave a small nod, as if he expected that answer. "It was submitted properly," he said. "With documentation." The first woman crossed her arms slightly. "Even so, we still need to enforce community standards." Daniel didn't argue. Instead, he stepped back toward the door, speaking calmly. "I understand." Then he added something that changed everything. "I'll make a call." It wasn't said as a threat, it wasn't dramatic, but the tone carried weight, the kind of weight that made people pause. The representatives exchanged another glance, unsure why the situation suddenly felt different. Inside, Daniel reached for his phone, not hurried, not stressed, just precise. Outside, Emily remained seated, her mother beside her, the tension quietly building, because whatever call Daniel was about to make wasn't just going to resolve the situation, it was going to reveal something they never saw coming. Within minutes, the atmosphere outside the house shifted in a way no one expected. A vehicle approached slowly and stopped nearby. The HOA representatives turned, their expressions tightening with confusion. Daniel stepped back outside, calm as ever, the door of the vehicle opened, and suddenly, everything felt different: the energy, the posture, the certainty, because the people stepping out didn't look uncertain, they looked official. The representatives straightened instinctively, their earlier authority fading without a word being spoken. Daniel walked forward slightly, greeting them with a quiet nod. No introduction was needed, but the realization came anyway, slow, heavy, unavoidable, because the man they had been speaking to so firmly wasn't just a homeowner, he was the police chief of the city, and in that moment, the situation flipped completely. No one spoke for a few seconds. The silence now carried a completely different meaning. The first representative finally found her voice. We weren't aware, she said carefully. Daniel nodded. That's clear. But there was no anger in his tone, only calm control. This isn't about position, he continued. It's about understanding the full situation before making decisions. The second representative looked down, processing everything. Emily sat quietly, unaware of how much had just changed around her. Daniel stepped closer, his voice softer now. She needs this space, he said. That's the priority. Both women nodded. The clipboard suddenly felt less important, the rules felt smaller, because now, they understood something they hadn't before. This wasn't just a violation, this was a moment that required compassion, and they had almost missed it. By the next day, everything had been resolved. The HOA issued a formal acknowledgement, updating their records and ensuring no further interruptions would occur. The tone had changed completely. Respect replaced assumption, understanding replaced pressure. Emily sat on the porch again, the sunlight warm and calm around her. Her breathing steady, her small smile returning as if nothing had ever happened. Her parents stood nearby, watching quietly, not with tension, but with relief, because sometimes the biggest changes don't come from conflict, they come from clarity. The neighborhood carried on as usual, but something invisible had shifted beneath the surface, a reminder that rules matter, but people matter more. And that was the final twist in this unbelievable HOA story. If you loved the drama, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment sharing your thoughts. It really helps this channel grow.